What is the most NSFW thing you've actually done at work? 1. Worked at an adult video store for a while, got head in the back once, and often had strippers try to bribe me for discounts with showing me their naked bodies, which never worked because it was an adult store and there were images of naked women everywhere. 2. Worked as a mover as one of my first jobs. On one move, I accidentally stumbled upon a NSFW photo album of the customer's wife. She had caught me with it, but I pretended I didn't look at it, but she already knew I did. She then proceeded to show me the rest of the photo album. That was really it. 3. Walked across the top of the cars on a moving train. It was only going like 5-10 mph, but it was definitely not safe, not legal, and would have gotten me fired if I was caught. A commenter replied, "Used to do that as a kid." There was a 1-2 mile stretch between two rickety old bridges where trains would go real slow. We'd hop down onto car from first bridge and then climb up on second as we went under. Super sketchy. Did it maybe 4 to 5 times? Pretty dumb if you ask me. 4. Girlfriend gave me head in the freezer when we first got together. It was just us working that night and the closing managers already left. She pulled me into the freezer and just dropped my drawers. Being the law-abiding citizen I am, I just enjoyed the moment. For those wondering, yes, I am still with the same woman. It was 5 years ago. She was the best friend helping me get through a toxic ex. Also, she wants me to tell everyone. Whipped cream was involved. 5. If we're talking actual not safe for work, I willingly used an elevator that was years past. Its inspection certification pretty much daily for over a year. Never really thought much about it. And then a woman died across town in a similar elevator that hadn't been certified in a while. Well, I ended up taking the stairs exclusively after that happened and always check the certification date on any elevators I have to use. 6. When I was a teenager, I worked at a small call center that primarily focused on debt collection. We were a small office in a large but mostly empty office building. The floor above us was completely empty, so I used to go up there and smoke cigarettes in a little overgrown courtyard area. One day, my boss's daughter caught me and asked for a cigarette. A week later, we were regularly banging in an old abandoned corner office. This went on for like 2 months until we all got laid off. Then I never heard from her again. Right before I got laid off, a bunch of us got RC cars and raced them around another empty office space because we didn't have any work to do, so for like 2 weeks I was just playing with RC cars and blowing loads. Most fun job ever. 7. I jerked off while driving an armored personnel carrier full of people down the highway in Iraq in 2007. A commenter replied, "Hell yeah, combat jack." 8. Walking up the stairs without 3 points of contact. 9. I had sex with my fellow manager after we had locked up for the night in a booth in the dining room. We were still going at it when the owner let himself in the back, poured himself a drink, and went into the office to do some business stuff. We slowly got dressed and tried to sneak out, but the office door was open. He just looked at us for a few seconds, shook his head, and said, "Have a good night. See you tomorrow." We decided that we could wait to leave to fool around after that. 10. I used to be in the Navy, and when we were in our home port, my girlfriend at the time came for dinner when I was on overnight duty, and well, I banged her on the missile control panel. It was fun. 11. Kicked my manager's ass for calling another employee pathetic. That other employee was my mother and he didn't know it. I got fired. 12. Screwing in the back room when I did an overnight back in 2011 working at Burger King. It was slow and I was working with a chick that wanted an overnight shift and we were bored. Then we was like, "Want to smash?" And yeah, not a crazy story, but it was fun. 13. I intentionally tilted a ladder diagonally to reach something because I was too lazy to climb down and move it. Incredibly stupid and dangerous. 14. In 1988, I was 19. It was a Japanese video game company. There were 7 Japanese businessmen running the company, 4 American salesmen, 20 women, and me. I was called over the intercom into a female manager's office. She was in her late 20s, early 30s. Hot. She asked me to shut the door and lock it. I did. She then moved a piece of paper on her desk to reveal 4 lines of the devil's dandruff, and we did them, and we had sex on and against her desk. Then I left, and we acted like it never happened. 15. opened a microfuge tube and a drop of 35% formic acid. Fluacetanitril, HPLC buffer, flew off the lid and hit the side of my neck. Burnt a scar on my neck. Someone commented, OSHA called, they want to have a talk. 16. We had a boss who recently got fired for being caught stroking his cock while watching the talk. Someone commented, a friend of mine worked for a janitorial company back in the day. One of his accounts was a grocery store. He'd let himself in long after the store closed and all the employees left, so he could mop and wax the floors. One night he walked into the back room of the store to turn the lights on. The produce manager was sitting there in the dark at his desk, with his pants and underwear down to his feet. Tried to say he was giving himself an insulin shot. In the dark, with his cock out. 17. I used to work in a high street bank. I was head cashier, and one of the customer advisors was assisting me move end-of-day monies to the vault downstairs. We had been doing some harmless flirting in the past few weeks, but I didn't think too much of it. She was a couple of years older than me and absolutely beautiful. Well, we kissed in the vault surrounded by cash and safety deposit boxes before unzipping her dress, splitting her tights, and banging her up against the cage. We have a 9-year-old son now. 18. I fingered a girl in the office kitchen once, and when I heard another colleague coming down the hallway, grabbed her hair, nibbled on her neck, and sped up my hand to try to make her finish before we'd be interrupted. And it worked, leading her to have to try to ride out the last waves of her orgasm and ignore what a sopping mess her panties had become while our esteemed coworker was getting a cup of coffee. 19. Got a blowjob from a random girl. I was working in a windsurfing station. There was a family there, mother, father, son, and daughter. She was 21, I was 19. I started talking with her while the rest of the family were surfing in the water. We ended up making out inside the storage area for the boards. She gave me a blowjob. She swallowed my load, and we just went back to the beach. Her parents came back and hugged her, having no idea of what had just happened. 20. I was working as a shuttle driver for an apartment complex a few years ago, and there was this receptionist that I was having some flings with every now and then. One nice summer day, I was parked at the start of my route, front of the main complex where they have the leasing office and community center, and as I'm reading my book, Under the Volcano by Malcolm Lowry, highly recommend it, the receptionist bangs on the driver door of my shuttle van and says, "Whip out your dick, I just got a new job." She proceeds to unzip my pants and give me a very good time. My dumbass puts the book behind her head, thinking that if I just cover her head, no one is going to know what is happening. She's standing outside of the vehicle and the main street is behind her. My brain didn't take that into consideration at that time, but we never got caught, and I had a very relaxed rest of my day. 21. Had sex with my coworker on the conference table in the middle of the office and then proceeded to have sex with her on various occasions on the couch. We took naps on during our lunches also in the office. Cameras never got checked, but I would have been 100% fine with getting fired since my checks were repeatedly missing money, and I was always being targeted by upper management for ridiculous reason. 22. I worked at a hotel. I wasn't feeling well. I had to go do room checks to find vacant rooms that people left but didn't check out of. I was on the 27th floor. I thought I had to fart. I ended up shitting myself. Went into a vacant, dirty room. Thankfully, only my underwear was soiled. I threw them out, took a shower, and went back to work free-balling it for the rest of my shift. Made good tips that day, too. 23. I fucked my manger at my old job. She was hitting on me for a while. One night, everyone left, and I tried to sneak out the back so she wouldn't see me leaving. She caught me and asked if I finished the numbers for the day. I said no, and she walked me back to my console. She gave me the eyes when we were close to the computer together. So IDK, man, I risked it and grabbed her inner thigh. She was wearing a skirt. It was like two magnets getting close, so we just went at making out. I went to hit it from the back on my small, 3-foot desk. I've fantasy jerked off a million times before, to this very situation, LOL. And when I went to go in, she grabbed my dick and put it around her butt, and her exact words to me were, "That one's for my husband, you better have the other." Honestly, I wish it never happened because I've never been able to get close to the hotness with other people since, and it's been 4 years. P.S. She got fired 2 weeks later because her husband, her boss, found out about another dude she banged at work. 24. A while back when I worked in food service, there was a girl who was a big flirt. At the end of the night, when we were doing our individual checklists, she would sneak away from everyone and we'd make out in the restroom. That escalated for weeks until one night. As I was locking up and everyone had left, I saw car lights out front. She had left, waited until everyone else was gone, then came back and we fucked in the restroom. Obviously, there were no cameras in the restroom, but if anyone had bothered to check cams, it still would have looked pretty suspicious. I suppose when you're in your 20s, you're not really thinking about that. 25. I let my job fuck me every payday. That concludes today's stories. If you like stories like these, please make sure to like and subscribe for more. If you have any opinions on these stories, let me know what you think in the comments below. I hope you all enjoyed today's story time, and I hope to hear from you all soon.